Okay, today's video we're going to talk about smart bidding. Specifically, when should you use the manual bidding aspects of Google Ads or Bing if you want to use Bing, and should be considering smart bidding in your business or for your business. Okay, so there's definitely a time to use smart bidding and there's definitely a time to not use smart bidding as per what my PPC agency is tested and introduced to our dozens of clients that we have at any given time to figure out the most ideal way to basically transition from manual bidding to smart bidding or automated bidding specifically. So I'm going to tell you how we transition over, why we transition over like we do, and kind of what the results you should expect from all of that once you transfer over, or maybe even revert back or just use manual bidding until you get some base results built up for yourself, because the automated bidding is just really, just blowing up your account. It's spending all kinds of money, not delivering results. So in short, and because of that, smart bidding isn't something that you normally use right away because of that exact reason. It blows up accounts. So anyway, I will go through the procedure our company's using and has found as the most ideal way to do this in terms of deciding when and where to use the bidding strategies. And then of course you'll have actionable advice to be able to walk away from this video and have the most ideal situation as far as bidding strategies go for your own campaigns. So anyway, to get started, recently the smart bidding component of Google Ads has gotten a lot better. Back in the day, it wasn't that great. Slowly over time, it's gotten better and better and better. And it's going to continue to get better as time goes on. I.e., regular shopping campaigns were good. Smart shopping got introduced, then slowly smart shopping did better than regular shopping, and then regular shopping became irrelevant. I feel like this is going to be the way for search campaigns as well with time. Maybe not to the extent of how the shopping is set up, but because there's more variables with search campaigns, but everybody's going to be using smart bidding at some point, basically, because it just crushes everything else. And of course, you can get by with it if you're in a market where you don't have a lot of competition and a lot of people want your product or service. But if you're in a tight market, the people who don't use smart bidding are going to be pushed out on their search campaigns. So anyway, with that said, after various testing, I found the most ideal way to use smart bidding for the most part for our clients' accounts, and in transition can work for your own account to have the most ideal result for your own company, as I mentioned, would be covered on this video. So with that said, I'm going to get into the actual strategy of what we exactly use for our clients today, moving forward in mid to late 2022, and this is only going to guaranteed be more relevant in the future if you're seeing this video in the future, because the algorithms that Google has is getting better and better all the time. Bing's algorithms are getting better, and of course, as it comes to Bing, if anything works on Google, it'll generally work on Bing, and also a little bit better because it's less competition, less cost per click. So when you can start your transition to use smart bidding on Google, when that works, that will be the time to do Bing with smart bidding with a similar bidding strategy and type and goal set up for smart bidding, target CPA, target ROAS at the same time as well, i.e. what works on Google as far as the bidding type, that's the time you should move it over to Bing. Once you've verified I switched it over, it looks like it's working great, it's been 30 days, okay, now we're going to switch our Bing campaigns, which are pretty much a mirror of our Google campaigns, which that's, by the way, you should kind of do things. Whatever works on Google, you move it to Bing. You optimize things a little differently, but the core of what you do is the same. And then when you switch over your bidding types, you should switch over the bidding types once you know it's working on Google already. Once you know something works on Google, you just transfer it over to Bing. So anyway, starting out, this is the first thing you would normally start out with. You have a brand new campaign, brand new search campaign you want to get working for your business. Of course, I won't get into all the intricacies of how to set that up. I do one keyword, even though I will briefly say I do one keyword per ad group. And with that, I have a unique ad for every keyword, and I try to narrow down to specific keywords that are going to be monetizable at the highest rate first so that I don't blow up my account before I start making money. If I'm just starting out doing an account, or if I have the option to, i.e. if I'm selling brand new furniture, why not target the keywords with buy furniture, cost of XYZ furniture, furniture for sale, so on and so forth, versus just furniture where the buyer's intent is a lot more certain in that case, and go after that first. Get that working at least, then you can go after your other stuff, reinvesting the money you've made with a profitable campaign account or a profitable account already, and then move over to scale up to other campaigns, other keywords, and so forth. But with that campaign, you start out with enhanced CPC bidding. So I moved away from manual bidding several years ago now. Why? Because of the algorithms getting consistently better, enhanced CPC bidding has done better than the manual bidding. Some people like the manual bidding because it gives them the most control. If they set the bid at $7, you're going to pay $7, roughly speaking. You're not going to pay $28 because Google's algorithm thought that because they thought that person was going to buy at 4 times the likelihood than the average user who searched for that keyword, that they're going to charge you $28 versus $7. They're not going. You just won't be involved with that opportunity. It'll go to somebody else with some sort of more sophisticated bidding strategy type setup, i.e., enhanced CPC or a actual automated smart bidding target maximize conversions itself, and or maximize conversion value. So you set up all your campaign or campaigns you're starting out with enhanced CPC bidding. I'm going to set it up as for optimize for conversions right away, not conversion value, even if I'm doing e-commerce or I'm importing revenue or offline sales revenue into our ad account. Why? Because the algorithm does better by optimizing just for conversions than it is the conversion value, because you need generally more conversion value or revenue, in other words, or perceived revenue or lifetime value or whatnot, for Google to optimize your ads well than you do if you could just do it with the, just conversions by itself. That also because, of course, if you're at least doing it the correct way or the way I would suggest, you're going to, even if you're doing e-commerce, I'm tracking the contact form fills, I'm tracking the phone calls, because that gives Google initially more data to work with to get you up and going and where you want to go quicker, not just tracking the sales revenue. You'll get 3 times, as much data up front. And so with that added data, you set up then with optimized for conversions, Google will be able to have a decent amount of data to work with right away. Okay? When you get enough data with your enhanced CPC bidding, I wouldn't suggest, though, turning over to optimize for conversion value instead of conversions under the enhanced CPC advanced targeting options, because it's just better, in my opinion, to just go down this list here instead of staying on enhanced CPC bidding. But you have to have other things in place before you switch over to a different, maximize conversions, maximize conversion value for your account to be steady and not blow up, in the process of doing that, basically. Which is why we have a very specific cadence of how we do things and tested this and figured out what's the most ideal way to basically keep the results steadily climbing on our campaigns, but while preventing the account from blowing up or just getting a bunch of conversions if we're generating leads, a bunch of leads that won't convert, or of course if we're tracking more than just the revenue, we're tracking the phone calls, the contact forms, we're getting a bunch of leads that way that are not, conversions that are non-sale conversions that are just a poor quality. So your ideal situation is have Google just get you more sales revenue and profit specifically, or ROI, but you need enough data for Google to do it, and they'll be real wild in how they're optimizing for that without enough data. So then therefore you go with a more conservative bidding type until you've built up enough data to use the full revenue tracking. And if you are generating leads, which I'll get into in a minute, you do want to do the sales tracking, track the in your CRM or through a spreadsheet, the leads you have coming in, which ones buy, what's the contract value worth, putting that back into your account so you can optimize for signed contract value versus just did somebody turn into a lead, or did somebody, was somebody a qualified lead, which would be a little better, but not as good as what's the contract value and what's the ROI of the contract value versus the ad spend. Anyway, so when you have the enhanced CPC bidding still there on your campaign that you're starting out with, you've got things set up to optimize for conversions in the advanced settings under the enhanced CPC bidding type, bidding strategy type, you're going to add lots of negative keywords. You're going to go into the search terms report and you're going to go in every day if you can and look for irrelevant search terms that have nothing to do with your product or service. If you're generating leads, not doing a shopping cart basically, you're going to have to be very careful and looking for search terms that convert it into a lead, but are a big one would be competitors. People that are typing in your competitor's name, they're finding your ad, they're not reading it real well. Half the people don't even read, the ad real well. They think Google is just automatically going to give them what they came for without thinking or without trying. They type in your competitor name, oh, the first ad must be it. They click on your ad, they call, they waste your salesperson's time. They find out that you're not the other company, and then you wasted your money. But in terms of Google, they thought that was a success or a win. So this is why you can't use target CPA bidding right away, because if you do, particularly for lead generation accounts, you're going to get a bunch of shitty leads. The shittiest leads will be the cheapest leads, because everything is based upon an auction system with Google Ads. So the keywords that are the least profitable, people will be bidding less or not on at all, which means they'll be cheaper, which means they'll offer cheaper conversions, which means Google will deliver you more of those specific types of leads, which are naturally lower quality, and then your account will just spiral down and down and down through the algorithm not understanding the intent of the user when they're actually typing in what they're typing in, to a degree anyway. So your goal is to keep adding negative keywords until the search terms in the search terms report looks pretty much 90+% on point of what, when people type stuff in, of stuff that you actually want to have your ad trigger for. Okay? And again, just because you think it's okay or borderline like a competitor name, you want all that crap out of there. If somebody's looking for, somebody needs to get a basement waterproofing, somebody's typing in, how do I waterproof my basement? You don't want any of that shit in there. Get it out, because when you get into the next stages, you're going to get more of a problem for the reasons I said. The algorithm's not going to know. It's going to get you more of what you don't want, basically. The more inefficiencies you have in your campaign before the switchover occurs. So you add a ton of negative keywords until you have 90+% of the search terms in the search terms report actually totally relevant to what you want your ad to show up for. You're going to make sure, and during this process, initial startup process, a warm-up process of your campaign, you're going to find the right match types. Some accounts we find that exact match is going to work, and mostly B2B, but also in a lot of anymore in the home services category, stuff like that. Why? Because Google's keyword matching algorithm that determines how closely the term is going to be to the keyword has gotten a lot more liberal over time. And this, I see the trend continuing. So phrase match is just more like broad match used to be, almost, basically, is the equivalent of this. So if you're in a space where there's a lot of search volume, you should probably stick with exact match only, because that'll get you get you to your search terms report being 90+% on point of the type of searches that you want triggering your ads up front, versus if it's phrase match, it'll be tougher to get that 90+% of the search terms report to show searches that are directly relevant to the product or service that you're trying to promote and sell there. If you're not getting a lot of clicks, you may be forced to use phrase match, and in that case, you're going to have to add more negative keywords, because that's just how it is. So, but you'll discover in the initial process, is it phrase match that's going to work, or is it exact match? Broad match never works. Just totally forget about that. That sucks. Don't do it. Even if you wanted more clicks and searches for your ads to show up for, all you would do is you look at the search terms report after running your keywords in phrase match and just find terms in there that you don't have added as keywords and then add those as keywords within phrase match again. All right, so that's how you get more expansion, but with control. Regular broad match, the ideas are just totally wild. If you're trying to do, going back to the previous example I said of basement waterproofing service, you'll get people searching for, what is basement waterproofing? As a wet, and obviously, which is, burning your money up. So you don't want to use broad match. Anyway, you'll find the right match types, and for most 90+% of you guys don't use dynamic search ads for what you're doing. Dynamic search ads is where the ad is automatically generated and it decides which page to take people to on the site. The algorithm's not very good at figuring this stuff out, at least with a little bit of data. So for the most part, just don't do it. The only time that I've seen where this actually does work better than any other manual campaigns that I could put together with high levels of sophistication already is where we're selling parts. Like we had an example where we sold industrial lighting, and there was lots of different ballasts and light bulbs and all this replacement parts and stuff. And there's so many parts that the algorithm did a great job of understanding the intent of the user of what the kind of part they wanted and to figure out what to say in the ad to let them know that we have that exact part and then to what page to take them to. That same thing could be recreated in search ads, but it would take thousands and thousands and thousands of ads. And even then, the algorithm still figured out better than we could with the more rigid targeting what the user's search behavior was before they made that search, because they track all the user's behavior for, all the time. You think that you're just getting somebody that's, with search advertising, if you bid on red shoes, you're getting all the people that bid on red shoes to see your ad, and that's it. That's not the case. They're looking at all the people searching for that red shoes. What's everything they've done in the last 6 months? And they analyze that stuff. And with that, they can understand, is the person really looking to buy red shoes, or are they looking for just ideas? Through understanding people who search for red shoes and had these few websites they went to, they statistically more than likely went on to purchase, versus if they went to these few websites, they statistically only did not purchase and they just browsed. Therefore, they understand basically who they want of the people searching for red shoes. They want the ads to actually show up for, because the ads don't have to show up for red shoes every single time. And also decide which of the 10 ads that get cycled in and out of the top 4 spots on Google should actually be shown based upon which ads normally serve those specific types of users before. And so anyway, long story short, like I said, DSA is not going to work for a lot of you. And if you use that before you go to the target or the smart bidding, automated bidding strategies, target CPA, or what they call maximize conversions or maximize conversion value now, you're going to have a mess. You're going to get a lot of people. If you're doing lead generation, it's going to get you a lot of poor quality leads, because of course, if the ad's auto-generated and somebody types in, I want free legal services, and you don't offer free legal services, your ad's going to say free legal services, and you're going to get this shitty quality lead. And you're going to get a lot of them, because anything with free in it, none of your competitors want those clicks. So the algorithm's going to go, it's going to be a race to the bottom with your account, like I was talking about before. And if you sell products, it can, like I said, it can work, but it needs a lot of data, and it's going to probably not make money for a while. And in a lot of markets, it just won't work at all. Some it will. Not to say you can't use DSA and try it out, but for the most part, try to stick with manual campaigns, see if you can get that working, and then try DSA if nothing else works, is what I would tell you. Because you'll have more control over your account. Initially, you'll be able to not have to waste tons of money just to figure out if it can work, because it usually doesn't work right away and you have to give it more time. And whereas a static campaign probably could get you results right away. So why would you go with DSA up front at least? Anyway, you get to do those activities, adding all your negative keywords to get 90+% impression share, or 90+% of the search terms report to show relevant terms for what you want your ads to show up for. You found the right match types to use that are going to get you the right spread in terms of the amount of people that you want your ads to show up for, in terms of how loosely the user searches are matching to what keywords you have, and of course avoiding DSA for the most part. Once you get to 10 to 100 conversions, more so closer to the 100 conversion side, you can switch over to target CPA bidding, or what they call now maximize conversions. And then maximize conversions with you can set the target cost per conversion at a certain amount. If, generally speaking, if your cost per conversion currently is $100 and you want it to be $30, generally speaking, you'll want to start out putting it at $75. Wait till Google delivers that $75 per cost per conversion. Why? Because it'll be a more stable transition from one to the next. As you start going to 30, you'll get more volatility in what you're doing. And then you can just, once you get 75, you can set it to 50. Once you get 50, you can set it to 25 and so forth. Moving forward from that though, I would also recommend to you, given that this is a range, 10 to 100 conversions, if you're looking for $30 per conversion just to be able to be profitable, I would say keep it in, if you're still between 10 and 100 conversions, wait till you get to 60 with the enhanced CPC bidding before you switch it over to target CPA. Or otherwise, in other words, wait till you're 50% of your target cost per lead goal, or cost per action goal, or cost per conversion goal, and then switch over to your target CPA. So if you're wondering if it's 10 conversions or 100 conversions to switch over to maximize conversions, see how close you are to your conversion goal, where you know you're going to be, you're crossing over into profitability from not profitability. And if you're within 50% of your goal, but you only have 20 conversions already, that's the time I would already try to switch over to the maximize conversions. And again, for sure set a target cost per conversion with that in the advanced settings under maximize conversions, and set the target cost per conversion about 25% less than what your goal is already. If you, well, and that's basically it. I'll sum it up with that. So that's that, okay? The target CPA will get you, as long as you've already gotten that amount of momentum with your campaign, it'll get you more progress than you will get with the enhanced CPC bidding, because of how because of the algorithm and how it works and how efficient it is. Once it has that much efficiency, or excuse me, that much data, and gotten that much success with the data it has, so to say, you'll be able to do more with it than with enhanced CPC bidding, which is why you want to switch over to it about the time I gave you here. Now, that's only going to take you so far. If you want the most results by far, you still want to use the maximize conversion value, or as they used to call it, target ROAS bidding. And that's when you get basically from 100 to 1,000 conversions, okay? And when I say 100 to 1,000 conversions, I mean purchase conversions, not email submits or phone calls. We're talking about shopping cart purchases, or if you're doing, as they call it, offline conversion tracking, you're tracking the leads that are coming through and then which people buy, and then taking what is known as the GCLID code that's captured from the time that the user becomes a lead. You pipe that back into Google Ads. You can see at all these different levels where the purchase came from and how much the person spent, or what the contract value is supposed to be. If you have those offline conversions and you add those with your online conversions, or maybe you only have these offline conversions where that they purchased, you have between 100 and 1,000 of those, whether that's cart purchases or these offline sales that you import into Google Ads. You can then usually take things to a much higher level with the maximize conversion value bidding type, okay? So your goal should be to get enough conversions and enough momentum to go from maximize conversions, then to eventually maximize conversion value. And same thing with the maximize conversions. Whatever because with maximize conversion value, it'll ask you to, in the advanced setting, do you want to target a ROAS, which is your sales divided by your ad spend, or another way to say it is your ROI. If your ROI is 400% and you want it to be 500%, okay, I would, specifically you could put it at 500%, and then the algorithm and the machine learning algorithm that Google has is going to figure out how to get you, and it's going to do it pretty well. It'll get you to the 500% quicker than if you would have stayed at the maximize conversion bidding type alone, which is why you switch over to maximize conversion value. If your ROI or ROAS is 400% and you need it to be 800%, don't switch it for, don't put it at 800% target ROAS right away. Put it at 500%. Put it about 25% better than what the current ROAS is, because again, you'll have a lot of volatility in your campaign if you make that kind of a jump with your campaign. 25% jumps in the target ROAS is, you're gonna have a smooth transition to the top with that, okay? And the algorithm's gonna be able to, the algorithm's just set up to know how to get you to that next stage better than it is to be able to double the ROI. Because if it knew how to double the ROI, it would do it already, basically, is the name of the game here. So anyway, you switch that over. And specifically with all of this, to go a step backwards here, on the maximize conversion smart bidding or automated bidding strategy or bidding strategy by itself, I said if you're within 50% of your goal and between 10 and 100 conversions, you could usually just switch it over to maximize conversions bidding type versus the enhanced CPC bidding type. I would also add to that the results are stable. So if you're 50% of your goal, but you're looking at a 3-day time period, that's not good enough as well. I would want to see basically 30 days where the cost per conversion is somewhat stable, in addition to being within 50% of your goal and being 10 to 100 conversions somewhere, okay? Just to add to everything I said before. And to go along with that, if you're wondering if you should switch over to this maximize conversion value, which is your last stop, it should be your last stop, you want to be between 100 and 1,000 sales with revenue tied to it to be able to work off of or have the algorithm work off of. And similarly with that, I would want to see 30 days at minimum where the revenue is fairly stable during that 30 days. Is it just coming in one or two huge purchases? You're getting somewhat, it's evenly spread out through the month. So mainly just because when you switch over, you don't want all this weird crap, your account to blow up basically. And if it's regularly getting sales versus these huge whopper sales or whatnot, then you could pretty much expect that things are going to continue to be stable even after switching over to maximize conversion value bidding type, okay? And so anyway, with that, even if you're not close to your ROAS goal, like I mentioned with maximize conversion bidding type, it's okay to switch over to the maximize conversion value bidding type as long as you're between 100 and 1,000 conversions and the sales are somewhat stable, i.e., like I said, throughout a month, the sales are coming in somewhat regularly. They're not, huge purchases, or they're not all occurred within like 3 days and then 2 weeks there was nothing and that kind of thing going on. And then with that, Google will kick things into an even higher gear for you and get you more sales at the same ad spend quicker than if you would have stayed on the maximize conversion bidding type. So again, there's 3 stages to this. Enhanced CPC, then your goal is to get to maximize conversion bidding type, and then your final goal is to get to maximize conversion value bidding type as the last stage. This is going to be for every company. If you're an e-commerce company, this is easy because you can track your cart purchases, or should be tracking your cart purchases from day one anyway. For you guys generating leads, you got to do offline conversion tracking to be able to have this maximize conversion value bidding type and strategy being able to be used. And it's going to take more work to track your actual sales revenue that's occurring from your clicks that you're putting through your landing page, but it's totally well worth it. Most of your competitors won't be tracking your sales. They'll be generating leads. So what they'll be doing is trying to get, maybe they're using this maximize conversion value bidding strategy. They're trying to get cheaper leads. They're telling Google, I want a cheaper lead if you can get it, or as many leads at this cost as you can get it. Google's just getting any lead it can get from wherever it can get it. It doesn't know the quality of the leads. And the quality of the leads, as you already know, varies a ton. You know, there's a 3x difference between one lead and another lead, or 10x difference. You need to be able to dial things in to what actually has the quality leads, and more specifically, has the sales revenue. And if you can't track the sales revenue, you should at least be tracking whether the lead was qualified and plugging that back into your ad account. If you for some reason couldn't track your revenue, and that you have 90 days from the time the user clicks to know if they bought or not, to plug your revenue back into your ad account so you can use maximize conversion value bidding strategy. If you only are able to know within the first 90 days that that person was a qualified lead or not, it's still a hell of a lot better to take that data and import it in your account and use it to only optimize for more quote unquote leads. And you could then, in that case, if you simply don't know what the revenue or presumed lifetime value of a customer is going to be for you within the first 90 days of initial click through your account, or just not usually, you can import the leads that are qualified, which will only be half to a third of the overall leads you have. You can plug that in and set up an offline conversion goal just for leads that are qualified. So you'll have your leads, and then as a conversion, and then you'll have another conversion set up for qualified leads. And within the maximize conversion bidding type, then the steering of what you got there is going to be a lot better. Respectively, you can just simply, eventually, if you have enough qualified leads, you can mark the leads themselves, the goal for just the leads by themselves, as a secondary goal. So in that case, if you got 10 to 100 imported leads that are qualified leads, not just leads, you can right away switch the old goal that was just tracking if a lead came in or not if it was qualified, mark that as a secondary goal in your conversions menu, and then just leave your goal that tracks qualified leads as the primary goal in the conversion menu. And then all of a sudden now Google can start getting you more qualified leads versus just more leads. And of course, like I said before, if you can figure out mainly within 90 days of the click if that person is going to purchase and what the purchase revenue amount is going to be, or the lifetime value of that customer is going to be in terms of revenue, you can plug that back into your account and you can take full advantage of this maximize conversion value goal and a target ROAS setting, which is your offline sales divided by your ad spend as a percentage. And you can consistently have Google work on getting you higher and higher ROI from the same ad spend by switching that target return on an account spend goal under maximize conversion value to a ROI value or ROAS value that's 25% better than it was before. Wait till Google's achieving that level of ROAS or ROI for you, then turning the target up another 25%, and then the algorithm's just going to do all the work for you, and it's going to do it well. You're going to be able to have a major advantage over your competitors, having Google get you more and more ROI and sales from your campaign by having the full revenue data to look at versus just whether a lead came in or not. And once you get to, if you need an 800% ratio ROAS, basically revenue divided by ad spend, or $8 of sales versus $1 of ad spend. Once you get to that 800%, Google will just then keep trying to get you more and more sales. At that point, you don't have to keep raising the ROAS target. You can just wait till your campaign says limited by budget, and then you can raise your campaign budget 25% at a time. Wait for Google to get you to spend the extra 25% more daily budget that you gave that particular campaign, and at the same time still maintain the 800% ROAS target that you had. And then once you do, then you can wait for Google to say budget campaign limited by budget again, and do the same thing over again. Raise the budget by 25%, wait till the budget's utilized and the 800% ROAS target's met for that campaign, and then do the same thing over and over again. It'll just keep walking up the performance of your account. So and the summary of all this video is, as I said many times on this channel, everything is about data quality, really, at the end of the day, and it is becoming more so all the time. If you get your tracking set up right and you give Google the right data, it's inevitable you're going to get good results. It's just a matter of when. Assuming you have a good competitive product or service, people need it and want it, whatever, you're going to eventually get better and better incrementally better results, but just by having the correct data flow in, and particularly as you know how to use it at the maximum value, using this overall process I gave you to use more and more of the data you have in a more and more aggressive way by going more and more automated with your bidding based upon the more and more data you have. So your goal should be to set up your data so that the data flowing in is you got the most data you can. Like I said, form fills, phone calls, pop-up submits, purchases, offline purchases, letting that flow in, and then letting Google do more and more work for you, the more of the data you have stacked up for Google to be able to use for getting you more results with your campaign. The other part of it is, before you start, know what your numbers need to be. After all your expenses of the product and service, delivering that and your everything, how many sales, how much revenue do you need to generate per dollar in ad spend to be profitable? Once you know that number, you set up all your tracking the way that I said on this video, and then everything is just about hitting that number. And you can use this process here to get you closer and closer to that number. And once you're there, of course, Google will then just keep scaling. And that's the process that you go through. Winners go through to set up multi-million-dollar a year ad accounts for their businesses. They don't wing it. They don't put a credit card in their account and then they wait and see if their bank account explodes. They come up with some sort of tangible goal. They set up the tracking the right way. They verify it's working. They keep testing the tracking every 30 days to make sure it's working the correct way, because everything's based upon that tracking working. And they just keep, watching their performance of their campaign rise, knowing that eventually they're going to be over their mark of profitability, and then it's just going to be all downhill from there. That's how you set things up to win. So anyway, I'll wrap it up with that. Hope you enjoyed that video and it was educational for you to understand smart bidding, when and where to use it. If you like this video, I would appreciate also you give it a thumbs up. And also I have a ton of other content on this channel about other money-making strategies, stuff that we try in our agency here that we're sharing with you all the time on this channel. And if you want to learn how to make a bunch of money with PPC, I strongly suggest you follow and subscribe to this channel. It's the best information I possibly have found on YouTube itself on actual actionable advice on how to do PPC, on what's current strategies that are working today. If you have any questions about smart bidding, anything you think I should have covered or did cover, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. I also have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build PPC campaigns up the way that I build them to guarantee our clients results. If you want to see things done on a more step-by-step or individualized basis like that versus the high-level stuff I cover here, you can also actually find it there. So with all that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you for stopping by and see you on the next one.